some breaking Celtics news. It looks like, according to Chris Haynes, the Celtics, they're extending Kristaps Porzingis 2 years, $60 million. Forsberg, your thoughts on that? You had the one-on-one with him. Yeah. What do you think about this extension?
Yeah, right so look, I thought this was pretty much a formality. They could have waited to December and made it a longer extension, but it was clear once Kristaps opted into the final year of this contract at $36 million, I think there had to be an agreement, or at least like a discussion of we will talk at the first possible moment about keeping you here long term. He wanted security, admitted as much yesterday in that chat about wanting to be here long term after, especially now on his fourth team. I think the Celtics lock him up at a number that's comfortable.
Comfortable? That's a great number.
Yeah, exactly. So if he plays anywhere near the level he did last season, $30 million is a steal based on where the league is going in salaries, and when you figure that Bruce Brown just got 20-something million. So, like, for me, it comes down to you're starting to put the puzzle pieces together. It's going to be complicated to have Jason, Jalen, and Porzingis, but regardless of how it all plays out now, you have that piece in place for the next 3 seasons, and you have to feel good about as long as he stays healthy and as long as he is productive as he showed last season and pairs well with this core, that it could be a really good situation for the Celtics.
And one thing to add to that, like at that number easily could move if you have to move on for whatever reason, right? So,
and that's important because, again, the math is hard at getting down that road, and so might be a point where they have to decide. Are there 2 of these 3 we want to go forward with? But I think their hope is to really kind of, as the cap continues to expand, does that give you the flexibility to keep 3 all-star caliber players on your roster?
And just know, when you have positional versatility like Porzingis, like you're not just an inside player, you're not just an outside player, then now all of a sudden you're going to get more money because of that. And it's going to be easier to build rosters around guys who are like that. So that's a really good job by the Celtics to go out there. Like if you would have told me they got him anywhere between like 28 and 33, I'd be like, that's a great deal for the Celtics. So good job by them. And for Porzingis, man, making $60 million on the extension is a great job for him.
Eddie, any surprise with this extension for Kristaps Porzingis?
No, it goes back to what all those guys were saying. Both of those guys were saying is that it does give the Celtics, it locks them up. You understand that, all right, okay, you have him, but it's not a thing that if it doesn't work, it's not a hard contract to get off of, especially with his skill set and what he brings. If it's not a perfect fit for this team, he could be a perfect fit for a lot of teams. And for that price tag, I think a lot of teams will be willing to say, hey, you know what? Okay, we'll entertain whatever you are. We'll pick up the phone and listen to what you got to say. And it's a lot of teams out there that would definitely do that, especially at that tag.
Yeah. What I think is important to remember, too, is the Celtics were eligible to give him 2 years, $77 million was the max extension they could have offered here in July. And so you're getting that number, $17 million cheaper than what he could have taken. I think it shows a little bit of an understanding on Kristaps' part about being part of a championship. And he spoke a lot about his desire to be back in that spotlight and back in a market where basketball mattered. And so I think he's willing to take a little bit of a discount. Now it comes down to it helps you put that puzzle together. And that speaks volumes when he's coming off the best season of his career, and he should be eager, based on his injury history, to make as much money as possible in this situation.
Hey, Forsberg, real quick, though, when was he ever in a market where hoop was mattering and they was relevant?
New York. I mean, New York was like he was in the spotlight.
What are you talking about?
I would say it's not the same. I would say, even as a New Yorker, I would say it's not the same because Boston is in the conversation of going to the NBA Finals. They're constantly in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we know, sadly, at least on my part, the Knicks are just.
Dallas had good players. Like I'm not saying.
They had good players.
I think, but the deal to go from Dallas to Washington probably reminded him of, like, what are your priorities and what do you want to be? And here is his. True. I will say it is his best opportunity to shine in a big spotlight.
Scal, really quickly, what makes Porzingis the right puzzle piece for the Celtics team?
If Joe's going to play pace and space offense, then now you have a guy that can post up, but he can shoot the 3. He can defend in the pick and roll. You hear Eddie talking about drop coverage all the time. He's one of the best in the NBA at the drop coverage. He's very mobile for his size. He could block shots, and he can rebound at a decent rate, a decent defensive rebounder. So for the Celtics, I think that's what makes him a good fit. Like, they're not going to start playing offense differently. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown need space to work. Porzingis' ability to step out or pick and pop is what's going to help out Brown and Tatum become those all-NBA guys and to justify the $50 to $60 million that they're going to make.